Hey guys, it's Whispersbeyond, and I'm here to analyze Twilight with you. We're gonna look at the preface first, alright? Bear with me. I'd never given much thought to how I would die, though I had reason enough in the last few months. But even if I had, I would not have imagined it like this. Okay, so Meyer obviously was trying to throw in some foreshadowing in there. She wanted you to be like, oh my god, what happened in the last few months that made you think you were gonna die? But honestly, I don't think it was too successful. She didn't really go into detail, and honestly, after reading William Shakespeare and seeing that foreshadowing, this doesn't even shine a light on it. And I find it sort of unfair because in the last portion of the paragraph, since it's not a sentence, it says, I would not have imagined it like this. For me, when I read that sentence, I imagine the next few paragraphs are going to go into detail about how she's dying, what's going on, and whatnot. However, I don't think Stephenie was successful in that endeavor either, because honestly, the next few paragraphs are very bare bones, and they don't go into too much depth. Which leads us to the next paragraph. I stared without breathing across the long room, into the dark eyes of the hunter, and he looked pleasantly back at me. This sentence to me has potential. It reads, though, like a rough draft, and I find it kind of pathetic, honestly, that she uses the word long to describe the room when there's so many more words you can use, because honestly, I stared without breathing across the long room. That, to me, sounds like one of those sentences you come up with when you're doing an English exercise in, like, 4th grade, where you're supposed to use a noun and an adjective in the same sentence. You know, you have to describe something, so you just use the first adjective that comes to mind. Yeah, that's what it reminds me of, and it just makes me sad. Okay, so we'll continue on. The dark eyes of the hunter, and he looked pleasantly back at me. Again, it's just Meyer she doesn't go into detail, and she really just kind of, this is what's up and that's it, rather than describing it and giving the reader the same image and feelings that Meyer would have felt in her mind while she was trying to describe the scene. That's what a successful writer does, is they depict the image in their mind and the feelings that they feel when they see the image to the reader. And they successfully do that through the use of words, descriptions, sometimes punctuation, character development, whatever. There's a million and two different aspects to writing that give it a certain flair and give it humanity. And I just don't feel like this does that. It doesn't give you that touch of humanity. But obviously, Stephenie's human, because in the next sentence she says, surely it was a good way to die, in the place of someone else, someone I loved. Noble, even. That ought to count for something. This whole paragraph is a fragment. I won't go into that, though, since I don't feel like it's fair, even though it really pisses me off. Meyer is telling you that the speaker is dying in the place of someone else, and obviously they loved that person. And then she goes on to describe that it was noble. Honestly, though, if she was writing in a successful manner, and she went into detail about her death and the fact that she was trading it for someone else's, you wouldn't have to say that it was noble. The readers would just automatically know that's really noble of the speaker. And then the last sentence, that ought to count for something. It's kind of thrown in there, like the speaker's trying to justify the fact that she's giving her life up to someone she loves, which just seems stupid. That's my opinion, though. Go ahead and let me know what you guys think. I'm always up towards constructive criticism. Anyways, we'll go into the next paragraph. I knew that if I'd never gone to Forks, I wouldn't be facing death now. But, terrified as I was, I couldn't bring myself to regret the decision. When life offers you a dream so far beyond any of your expectations, it's not reasonable to grieve when it comes to an end. It's not a bad paragraph. She's pretty much describing that the chain of events before her death led up to her death, which is how every single book on this planet works. Anyways, Meyer tries to get philosophical, saying, when life offers you a dream so far beyond any of your expectations, it's not reasonable to grieve when it comes to an end. She adds so much fluff to the sentence that honestly the message doesn't come across very well. If you were to say instead, when life hands you a dream that exceeds your expectations, it's not fair to grieve when it's over. In the last sentence, the hunter smiled in a friendly way as he sauntered forward to kill me. Ugh. The writer in me just died, guys. The writer in me just died. That is such an anticlimactic, blunt sentence. It's just straight up saying, the hunter smiled and walked to kill me. That is literally what the sentence says. I didn't even paraphrase that. Well, yeah, I did, but still, you guys get what I mean. And it just kills me because she takes so much time describing Edward's porcelain skin later in the book, but she can't go into description about how this girl's gonna die, which is ridiculous because honestly, death is more important than skin. Well, with that, I will tell you that I rewrote this preface. I did it in a matter of two minutes, so I don't think it's that great, but I do think it's better than this. I'm not gonna go and rewrite the whole Twilight book. It's just I wanted to give you guys a feel of something I would do instead. Not trying to be cocky or anything. It's just there's showing you that there are other ways that are much more successful in describing the last few moments of a girl's life than this. Okay, so here it is. While you're staring into the eyes of your killer, you're left frantic and pleading to grasp for reason before they take your life from you. I'm no different. As I lay here, frozen in place, I struggle to remain calm and find tranquility in these last fleeting moments of my life. No one takes the time to think about their death, though when they do, they picture themselves dying with a sense of heroism or nobility. I'd like to think that I'm dying in a noble way, trading the death of a loved one for my own instead. I don't want to sound humble, but these are my last moments, and I like to believe I deserve the feeling of accomplishment and pride. All of this, though, wouldn't have happened if it weren't for me moving to Forks. I don't blame myself for putting so many lives at danger, including my own. I found love so fierce and so breathtaking that it would be rude to scoff it and say I regret its existence. I wouldn't have traded these dangerous yet love-filled months for anything, not even my own life. Those are my last thoughts. I was granted no more or less before the shadowy figure sauntered across the room, a deliberate smile on his face as he considered all the ways he could kill me.